Dr. Angela McBrady of DoctorFlute.com. Today's flute tip is on trills. Have you ever just worked on your trills? There's a really good exercise in Taffanel and Gaubert at the very end of the book. So if it's a 17 Grande Exercise, it must be number 17. But it's at the end of the book. And it's a great way to work on your trills and learn your trills. But today I just want to talk about fingers that you use for your trills, because oftentimes I think we use the wrong fingers. We have 3 trill keys down here in our right hand, and each of those trill keys needs to be played with a different finger. So when you're doing your trills, you need to move up to the trill. When I first started learning flute, I had my first finger here did this trill, and it did this trill. Of course, for a long time I didn't know what this was even used for, as most students don't, and it's often a revelation to teach them what you do with that trill. But you move down or you move up. Well, that's not a great pattern, because one finger has got enough to do. He's got this key, and then you're saying he's got to use this key, and then he's got to come up here and do this key. So we want to move up to trills, and if we move up to trills, all our fingers have their own trill. All right, each finger has its own trill, and I can move up to those and use, these two, or these, I don't think there's any with these two, but I'm going to use this one, and then I'm going to use this one, then I'm going to use this one. And that gives each finger a chance to exercise that muscle. I really think that you need to work on trills, not just for the fact that you're going to trill, and that each trill is slightly different. We have to do it a little bit differently. But because when you work on trills, you work on weak fingers and the muscle control. If you're trilling with this finger here, of course he's weaker. So that trill's not fantastic. The more you work on it with that finger, the better that muscle gets. And the better that muscle gets, the better that finger works in all your technical exercises as well. So it's going to be sort of double beneficial for you to work on your trills. Middle finger here, he can do it fast enough, right? Our E finger, we like to call our E finger, moving up here. But often I think he's just inconsistent. It's not that consistent of a trill. Same with the finger, the side of your finger you're using here. And remember that when you move up to this trill, you don't play it with a tip. I mean, you could, but it's really awkward to move your whole entire hand to do this. So you just use whatever side of your finger reaches over there and hits that trill, and that's what you're using to trill. There's no right or wrong as to what part. You just don't want to bend your finger. If I have to use my tip, you can see I have to move my entire hand up here to do that. And it's okay when you're trilled to get off the pinky key, your E flat pinky, that's fine. You trill without that. But you're going to move your whole hand up. So even using my finger, like I don't play with my fingers hanging off the keys like that. But if I'm going to trill here, my fingers are probably, they just have to. It would be really awkward to leave them like that. So it's okay for them to straighten out a little bit while you use that trill. That can be, they're still pretty close. They can move back very easily. Then you've got this trill and you've got this trill with your thumb, and of course any other combinations of trills. But when you work on your trills, you get your uncoordinated fingers to have a chance at trilling. I think this finger, even though we use that C finger a lot, trilling is very awkward with that finger. It does not go as fast as we can do, say, these. Partially it's the mechanism, it's how you do it. This goes really quickly here. I'm going to use the right finger for it here. But you want to work on trills, you want to practice trills, and you want to move up to your trills. So you might say, well, I've always learned it this way. I use this pointer finger here, or my F finger, to do both these trills, and I can't change now. You can change. I was probably I think in college when I learned this method of trilling. So I wasn't any little fourth grader learning it, but I could learn, and anybody can learn to do that. It just takes a little bit of thought to move up to the trills. And it really makes sense when you start doing it. Moving up to trills makes a lot of sense, and I think that you'll find if you just give it a chance that your fingers will do it. But if you come across one of those trills in the music that you're doing, you have to give it actual thought, because you will just instinctually play it with the finger that you grew up using instead of moving up and using your E finger for this trill key. You'll instinctually move down to it. So it'll take a little bit of a thought right at the beginning. But it's something accessible. You can do this. So work on your trills. Your fingers will be glad, your technique will be glad, and your trills will be phenomenal. That's today's flute tip.